this is it. This is a 13 foot by 13 foot square, and it will fit my 12 foot by 12 foot stalls. So let's get into that process. So to start, I'm going to show you the stall we're going to be working on today. This stall I've actually done some grade work to already. I've added quite a bit of limestone, and then I've fitted it out with 3 foot by 5 foot, 4 foot by 6 foot, I forget the size of these rubber mats. They're pretty standard horse stall matting. They're solid rubber, so you know, your shavings get soaked down with urine and you end up shoveling a lot of it out. The Stall Saver product, or there are some other stall skins, it's a controversial product or process. Some people really enjoy them. I happen to really like the product myself. Other people, they really don't like the idea that the urine permeates through the liner and ends up in the substrate or your limestone or whatever you have as a soil base. There definitely is some concern about the urine permeating down and just soiling the limestone and getting that ammonia odor. Stall Savers, if you look at Stall Savers website, they recommend you periodically wash the stall down with a citrus cleaner, like a pine sol, that breaks down the ammonia in the urine. There's also a lot of prep work you have to do with putting a leach pit in the center of the stall, which I'll show you. So if you do, I feel like if you do some of that prep work and that regular preventative maintenance, then the Stall Savers will work. If you just try to put it on over your existing stall without the leach pit and you don't do the pine sol or citrus cleaner, it could get pretty nasty and smelly. So just do the extra steps and do the installation correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and yank all these rubber mats out. We're going to dig the center of the stall out. We're going to pour gravel in. We're going to put new limestone on top, grade it all, compact it, and then we're going to start installing the liner itself. And so this is pretty evident of where you need to put your leach pit, because you could see where all the urine ends up. Horses typically urinate right in the center of their stall, because they can have their nose anywhere around the perimeter, and odds are if their nose is at the wall, they're peeing in the middle. So we're gonna dig this out. Well, I shed a couple layers because it got warm quick, but there it is. It's probably 1.5 feet deep in the center. Maybe 2 feet in the center, 1.5 feet around the sides. So now I'm gonna dump probably about 6 bags of all-purpose gravel from Menards. And since I already brought a bunch of fresh limestone into this stall last year, it doesn't need built up any more than that. Normally I would bring a few wheelbarrows full of limestone to bring the grade up, but it's already pretty well graded. I just had to put the leach pit in, bury it back. I'll smooth all the rest of this sort of clay limestone mixture, and I'll run the compactor over it, and we'll be ready to put our liner down. What a great place for pee. Okay, gravel's in. I'll smooth all this dirt out, run the compactor over it. We'll be ready to put the stall down. I'm sorry. We'll be ready to put the liner down on the stall. Okay, I compacted the stall and I forgot to hit record, so you got to miss that. I use a Honda plate compactor that I found on Marketplace. It really makes the process simpler and easier. I understand not everybody can own a plate compactor. So if you don't own a plate compactor, buy one. I skipped a step. You really should lay this in the sun for like half a day, and it helps the like memory sort of like iron out. Helps it lay flatter, but I didn't do that because it's March and it's cold, so I'm just putting it in. It'll be fine. It's a 12 foot by 12 foot stall. I bought a 13 foot by 13 foot piece of fabric. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take their 1x4. We're gonna first make sure it's centered in the stall. So you got equal material all the way around. So make sure it's as centered as you can get it. Kick it around. Get it as tight as you can. And then we're gonna take 1x4s and we're gonna screw through the 1x4s into the wall, into the 1x4, through the liner, into the wall. And this is the same thing I said on the hay feeders. You have to be mindful of the thickness of your wallboard material. So in this case, I have 2x6 tongue and groove, so 1.5 inch thick board. And I don't want my screws to go through my 1x4, through my liner, through my wall, and protrude out the back. Because for this stall wall, now you've got a sharp edge into the other horse's stall. Ditto over here, or if it's on this front side, you got a sharp point of a screw sticking out into the aisle. So your 1x4 is 3/4 thick. You got maybe 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch fabric material. So, you know, use like a 2-inch screw, and you won't have any trouble. Okay, liner's in. I went ahead and put our 1x4 all the way around the perimeter. Our concrete slab here has a toe kick board that I was able to screw to. So the last step in actually getting this project finished is I've got sort of excess fabric. I found the best way to deal with this, to cut this stuff off, is just get your a razor knife, a utility knife, and just make sure your blade is brand new. And it's pretty tough fabric. So that's how much easier that is. I just really feel like these things make the process so much easier. And you know, it's hard to talk and cut at the same time, but if I find that in 1 to 2 years the ground stinks and there's too much urine built up, you know, if I find that in a year or two, or it's already been a year for some of these, sorry, let me try. The first liners that I put in are already a year old. Well, they will be the start of the summer. And I don't notice any odor. Now it's been winter, so maybe midsummer, all that junk down there will start to, you know, brew and smell. But and maybe I'll make an update video about, hey, ignore what I said, stop using stall savers. But so far, I think they really work. And even if they only worked for a couple of years, 2 to 3 years, and I had to like take them out and dig up a bunch of gravel and replace them, that's a one-day project. I have 18 stalls, so, you know, a couple weeks worth of work every 2 to 3 years, it's worth it, because you really, for those 2 to 3 years, your shavings are cleaner. And when you're mucking and you're running your mucking rake over a smooth piece of fabric, it's not getting caught on mats, it's not picking up limestone, it's just a smooth surface. I think that alone makes it worth the money. So let me finish cutting this extra, and then I'll go get some shavings and we'll be all done. Now tell me you wouldn't personally sleep in that. Look at how clean that is. Okay, the last thing I like to do is right in front of the door. I should have done this before I dumped bags. But I actually take one of those rubber mats and put it back in here, because they spend most of their time standing at their door, because that's where they can stick their head out and pawing, you know, the paw at the door. And so I put one of those rubber mats there to protect the liner. Not much, just help protect the liner a little bit more. They don't pee there anyways, so. And there you have it. That is my process for installing stall savers, horse stall floor liners. That's it. That's all I got for you. Have a great one.